Hello guys, today we are going to be doing what if the Balkans plus Turkey, and honestly just a lot of Europe in general, went to war. Because why not? Alright, so first off, we're going to start this war with Greece. Oh god. Greece. Greece! Come on, me, color him in. And oh my god! And Turkey. Now, it really doesn't matter who started the war, it's just a war. So, whoever's thinking that this war was like a whole thing, no, it wasn't. Well, anyways, first off, France would obviously join with Greece, as there is a defensive pact with Greece. I don't understand what it is. I feel like Armenia would honestly kind of join against Turkey. Now, honestly, this is definitely not realistic whatsoever. So, it's honestly, I'm just gonna color countries in, and whatever I think is cool, we're gonna go with. So, I don't want people in the comments saying that that it's unrealistic for Armenia to join on Greece's side. It's okay. Shut up. I know Macedonia doesn't like Greece because of the whole dispute, and I guess Kosovo. I don't really know Albania's relationship with Greece. I don't think they like them though. Obviously, with Kosovo joining, Serbia's gonna join. So would Montenegro. Actually, so would Bulgaria. They don't like North Macedonia at all. And with that, these guys would join. There would probably be a rebellion in here, but we'll map that in a second. This would happen, and then, alright, so we got ourselves the Balkan War. Not really surprised. Now, obviously, let's start over here in, in these areas. So, obviously, it wouldn't be long until the Greek, Serbian, Montenegrin, and Bulgarian forces enter into this area, and this area would probably pretty fast. A rebellion would happen in Bosnia, and Serbian troops would definitely take advantage of that, and Bosnia would start to crumble. Serbian troops would also enter into Croatia, and French troops would be arriving. Now it wouldn't be long because now Turkey's here. And Turkey, oh my god. And Turkey would be sending troops. Turkish troops would enter into Bulgaria and Greece, while Turkish and Azerbaijani troops would be entering into Armenia, which would honestly probably fall pretty quickly because they're just surrounded. Now, normally Iran would probably join, but we're not starting a World War III scenario right now. They'll probably join later, though. Turkish troops would continue entering into Greece, while Greek troops would eventually stop the advance. French troops would arrive, and would push back Turkish troops up to here. Alright, so Turkish troops would eventually start trying to go more northern, because the French troops are going to be able to push them back in Greece. So why not just continue moving up? They would eventually also take Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria, and also move into the Romanian border. Romanian troops would eventually start pushing back as they have more as the Turkish would enter the mountains. French troops would also be arriving in larger numbers and would help the front in Bulgaria, pushing Turkish troops more back, taking back Sofia. Turkish troops would get pushed back in Greece, while French troops would also be sent to the front lines over here. Now you might be wondering, how do I make this scenario more fun? Well, that's how. You see, what if Ukraine joined? Now, obviously, this is not realistic at all. Definitely not. Armenia joined. This is really just me messing around with the map. So, but I'm still gonna call it. What if some of Europe and the Baltics and Europe went to war? Now, Ukrainian troops would be entering into Moldova and Romania, capturing Moldova really quickly and moving into the border of Romania. Turkish troops would attempt to make another push back up, taking Sofia again and moving up the Bulgarian border. Turkey would send a lot more troops over to Greece, and would eventually also send more and connect with Ukrainian troops in Romania. The Ukrainian troops Bucharest would be taken because of being right next to Bulgarian border, and Ukrainian and Turkish troops would start making their way. Sorry for the quietness. Alright, so back to what I was doing. Ukrainian troops would continue moving in and down into Romania, and Turkish troops would continue the front in the Balkans, moving more around the Danubian River, moving into Serbia that way. French troops would be disorganized as they would be sent around a lot of fronts, but most of them would be in Greece as their only defensive pact in Greece. Speaking of that front in Greece, the French troops would push the Turkish back even more and pushing them back on another front, but only worrying about the Greeks, which would let the Turkish move around them and encircle French troops and also continue moving. The Turkish would eventually start re-invading into North Macedonia, taking most of it back in free form, moving into Kosovo and Albania. Now, obviously, Bulgaria would start to be completely wiped out. They would eventually capitulate after this too. Now, you might be thinking that the blue team's gonna win this. Well, the thing is that Serbia finally just took over Bosnia with the help of Romanian, Montenegrin, Greek, and French troops, and Croatia would begin being invaded. Serbian troops with also allied would begin moving in. Now Hungary. I don't really know what Hungary would do. But you know what? Let's say now Italian troops would take a little bit to get ready. This makes it all worth the time of. And the Ukrainian troops would be pushed back, would quickly move across the border into Hungary and would start actually just pushing them back a lot. Ukrainian troops would overpower the Hungarians, as the Hungarians would be focusing on Croatia and Slovenia. Croatia would eventually be finished, and so would Slovenia. And they would slowly move through Italian soil. Wee, 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 wee. French troops from the mainland would also begin entering, but at a very higher rate. There's a literally fucking flies over here, bro. Get over here. Out of here. But Italian troops would eventually be ready and would easily push back any Balkan troops that were in this area. They would also begin pushing back French troops, but a stalemate would emerge. The French would also end up taking Sardinia, as the French Navy is probably stronger than the Italian Navy. If I'm wrong on that, please let me know. French and Greek troops would eventually take back Albania and would start pushing back the Turkish. But it wouldn't be long until Italian troops would cross the border and would connect with Turkish troops. Now, it's becoming sure that it's going to be a loss for the red team. But please, do not be so wrong, as someone would soon be joining. Russia. I'm kidding. Russia would make it too unfair. Poland. Yeah, Poland would join. The red team has a lot more countries, but a lot of those countries are pretty weak. So Polish troops would end up moving into Ukraine, and the Ukrainians wouldn't be expecting this. Poland would eventually cut Ukrainian troops off and would begin actually re-invading into countries. These countries include Hungary, Romania, and some parts of Moldova. As Ukrainian troops would be getting pushed back, Ukraine would also be pulling troops out of countries, which would be Bulgaria. And that's really it. I mean, and they would also pull some more troops out of Romania to stalemate the front with Poland. But this would also mean Romanian troops would be able to also hold the front line on their soil and in Bulgaria. Now, I was gonna say that, so Ukraine has more numbers than Poland, but Poland has a lot more tactics, let's just say. But with more numbers comes winning at certain battles. The Ukrainians would be able to actually hold their ground, as a stalemate would emerge. Emerge. Hooray. But either way, the Italians Bless myself. Oh my. Eventually, though, the French would break the stalemate with Italy, pushing them back. Hooray! Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna actually, yeah. So, and then basically the Italians moved troops back a little bit and reorganize and do another stalemate with the French, although being disconnected. But the red team would take advantage of this, pushing them back, and honestly, just pushing them back again. So hooray. But the Italian front up in north would eventually be cut off, and there would be one big front that the Italians would have to deal with. So yeah, that's that. Eventually, the Italians would be forced on the front line, would be forced to rely on their armies to actually keep a stalemate, because the amount of armies here, if they tried to put an offensive, they would just not be able to. So eventually, the French and Balkan troops would move down the Italian peninsula, and honestly, it would just be a really hard thing for the Italians to do. But eventually, after a while, they would host a stalemate, and all of their troops in Albania and North Macedonia would be kicked out. Meanwhile, in Ukrainian troops would put on a show in Romania, pushing Romanian troops back all the way. They would also start encircling a group that oh my god, I cannot stop stuttering today. They would also push along their border, because they also do want to encircle this giant group of Romanians. Eventually, they would complete the encirclement, and these troops would either be wiped out or would surrender, or taken as prisoners of war. Quickly, though, the Ukrainian troops would continuously move through Romania, but would have trouble through the mountains. Meanwhile, in Turkey would again start trying to move through Romania, but would fail, and would start trying to hold a front in Greece, North Macedonia, and Serbia, as Turkey just wants to gain whatever land that they can in this war at this point. Meanwhile, the Italians would actually be able to do with a lot of Turkish troops, because the Turkey has a way better navy than the Greece does. So Turkish troops with naval escort would be able to make it into the Italian peninsula and start pushing French and Balkan troops back. They would succeed in this until France would send more and more specialized forces into Italy, stalemating the front. But a lot of French and Balkan troops would be encircled. These guys would either surrender or get killed. Eventually, a Turkish encirclement French troops made an encirclement. Mostly Turkish troops were in this one, and they were killed or surrendered. So right now, it looks equal. Right now, it's probably equal. Both sides have good amounts of land, and both sides have at least a country or two down. Now, the only reason why the blue team is kind of suffering here is because look at the difference of countries. It's lots, right? Well, there's going to be another country that's going to join the blue team. That is Austria, Belarus, and Lithuania. Actually, now I really think about it, Belarus would probably just join on its own side. Think about it. So, anyways, let's do the Belarus in front. So Belarus declared war on Lithuania, who also declared war on Poland. So, and Poland and Lithuania and Poland kind of went to war as well. So Belarus invades Lithuania with really no trouble at all. They would also attempt to invade into Poland, which this would go into excess, but then they would try to invade into Ukraine. And the Ukrainian invasion wouldn't go too well. as Ukrainian troops would be trying to protect Kiev with all their life, as they would already be pushing back the Polish troops because as the Belarusian invasion, my bad. Eventually, Ukrainian troops would enter into Belarus and hold their front here until they can kick the Polish out. They would actually start pushing through Belarus to use as a troop holder, as basically using troops to travel into the Polish front, encircling a lot of Polish troops in the process. Poland would have to be moving troops around, as the Belarusians would actually be pushing into Poland. The Belarusians would be focusing on Poland, moving as many troops as they can into there, but eventually Poland would get their troops together and would start pushing them back really fast. A little pushback from Lithuania would happen, but a stalemate would occur. And the Ukrainian forces would take Minsk. Eventually, Ukrainian forces would continue moving around in about Belarus, as Belarus would try to be calling out for Russia, but Russia just wouldn't join. No one knows why. They just won't. Probably because of I actually don't know why. But Belarus would basically just turn into guerrilla warfare, but without the guerrilla warfare, because I don't even know if Belarus knows how to do guerrilla warfare. Probably do, but who knows. Eventually, Ukraine eventually Belarus would surrender, and Ukraine would take control of all of the troops. Eventually, Lithuania would also help with the invasion of Poland. Now, you guys might be thinking, this is really unrealistic. Lithuania declaring war on Poland. Really unrealistic. My dog gonna keep on barking? Let's see. Stop, Taylor. Taylor, shut up. Shut up. Oh, there she goes. Anyways, the invasion of Poland would be going smoothly, while Ukrainian troops would also be pushing Poland back over here. Now, I haven't really checked the military rankings in a little bit, so I don't know who's stronger, technically, Poland or Ukraine. But honestly, I think it's close, probably. Anyways, Ukraine would start. Eventually, a lot of Hungary would be sending troops over to Austria, and would also now be sending troops over to Ukraine, as Poland is not there to support the front. Ukraine would obviously send troops into Poland, taking the advantage in the war. Poland would basically be eventually. Poland and Hungary would not be able to really get anywhere because of Slovakia. So they would pressure Slovakia to joining on the red team. So would Czechia. Eventually, this entire Visegrad group would join and would all gang up on Austria. Now, yes, Austria has mountains. Screw mountains. We don't like mountains. Eventually, more red team troops would also be entering into Austria, and Austria would capitulate. Oh, what was that? Eventually, red team troops would enter into Poland, and a stalemate would begin. No movement on either side. Also, the same thing in Romania, and actually, Romania is like the border between Turkey and Ukraine. They can't. Yes, they can get to each other through the Black Sea, but I'm meaning land-wise. They have not connected still. Like, they connected earlier, but then they took that back, and now Romania is like a border between their troops meeting up with each other and creating one big front. Ukraine has a big front. This whole front right here, they have this whole front. They have this whole front to deal with. Turkey has this front, And Italy has this front. Azerbaijan would also be sending troops to Turkey because first off they were trying to deal with Armenia. But now that they've done that, they can send troops to Turkey, providing more aid. Ukraine is obviously sending aid to Turkey and is also sending aid to this front, and if anything is needed, they are sending troops to Turkey, moving them through Turkey, and then moving them into Italy. So yeah, Ukraine's really just trying to do stuff. Where Ukraine's sending troops though is to Turkey, here, 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 and obviously lastly here. Now it's not like Turkish aren't sending anywhere either. They're sending that Turkey is sending them here, 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 and here. Azerbaijan is just starting to send them to Turkey because they don't have a lot of troops. Italy though is sending definitely most of their troops here, but they're also sending some troops. But they also are planning an invasion of Greece. They're also if they can sending troops to Ukraine, but they haven't done that yet because they need to get through the Balkans to do that. Plus, the Greeks would know if they were planning an invasion if the Italians started sending troops to Ukraine. That's why there's been no front, because all of them are getting ready for an invasion plan of Greece. This would start. Italian troops would land at the bottom of Crete in this other island here. They would take Crete in a very short time. Eventually, Turkish troops would also make their offensive. Turkish and Italian troops would meet up. Well, Italian troops would also land in Albania, meeting up with Turkey. They would push Greek troops back as they would be trying to defend their front, and Greece would collapse. See, this is what they were planning. They were planning to make a full-on front. Eventually, Ukraine would eventually make another push into Romania, connecting with Turkey, and also cutting off Romania, making this part surrender. Eventually, Bulgaria would finally fall, although they just had like a little bit of land because it was recaptured by the Red Team. Oh my God. Please talk me, please. Eventually, full access to the Mediterranean, except France, would be accessed. Now they would be able to send troops to each other. Italy would be able to finally send troops up to Greece, while also stalemating their front. Azerbaijani troops would now be starting to send to Italy, as they would start taking troops from Armenia. What they were doing is they were stealing people from Armenia, training them in Azerbaijan, and moving them to war. Yes, that's literally what Azerbaijan was doing. So Azerbaijan had two fronts: this front, which wasn't a lot, and this front, which was a lot. Because the thing is this: if they lost Italy, this entire area wouldn't be blocked off. This front right here probably wouldn't exist, because Italy is a main key distractor, because this is all the land that they own. If they united, which would not happen, if you include sea, that would be a big empire, and it probably would be very fierce. Now the thing is that Ukraine, Italy, and Turkey have all made a plan to just meet up in Greece and move up the Balkan Peninsula, while Ukraine has that's what Italy and Turkey are doing. Ukraine is going with the other approach: meet up on this area, push through Poland, take Warsaw, make them collapse, push through Romania into Hungary. Also use the Polish front when they surrender to invade these two, invade into Austria through Czechoslovakia, let the Italians and Turkish push up, move into Italy, fight Italy, and then fight France as the last and strongest country. Now Greece was obviously the first person to get attacked in Greece, and now that Greece has fallen, Turkey, all of them can now face a bigger threat. Now, hold on, let me actually check this real quick. All right. All right. So, obviously, basically, Ukraine is 15th, Poland is 21st. So it's not surprising. So basically, Ukraine has a plan. They're going to take all of their troops from Italy in this front, and they're going to send them all at Poland. This plan, because Turkey is starting to ramp up their troop numbers a lot, actually. They've been doing the same strat as Azerbaijan. Take people from Armenia, move them into Turkey, take them as troops, and boom. But they're also planning to invade someone else. This might be the answer. But who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Cyprus. Maybe it's Georgia. Maybe it's even Iran, which definitely won't happen, because they would just cause more problems. The most likely option is this guy or this guy. So they were like, you know what if we just declare war on both? Yeah, that's a great idea, huh? Yeah, that's what they did. Turkey would already be ready for the mountainous terrain of Georgia, and so would Azerbaijan. And with nothing to lose, Georgia would eventually fall. Yes, very quick, right? I'm the best at mapping. I'm not. Eventually, Turkish and Azerbaijani troops would enter into Syria. Syria, already in basically a rebellion, would fall pretty quickly due to being weak, and honestly would probably just rebel itself out. So now, with them taking out these two countries, they're just gonna do the same strat they've been doing. Go take people from these countries. Oh my God, take people from these countries, make them the soldiers, and send them to battle. Great plan by the Turkish, right? Yeah, I mean, kinda. If they want to kill themselves, Azerbaijan would now be taking people from Georgia and Armenia and moving them to the war. Turkey would also be doing this, but with also Syria. Azerbaijan would just be moving troops into these countries, kidnapping people, bringing them back to Azerbaijan, taking them hostage, moving them as soldiers, and then moving them back. Now, Ukraine would be doing something similar, but not that really. But honestly, they would just be stealing any Belarusian troops that they can, trade them under Ukraine, make them wear the Ukraine uniform, and sending them to battle. Lithuania would kind of just be there. Now, Ukraine has a lot of troops. I don't know how many, but enough. But honestly, I think it's enough to support this war, because they've been doing that. Ukraine has been holding their own since they even joined the war. Poland joined the war, invaded them, then made sure that Romania couldn't try to invade. Then they pushed back in Romania. Then Belarus joined, invaded Lithuania, and invaded Ukraine and Poland. Poland actually didn't really push back. They kind of sat there while they were invading Ukraine. Ukraine obviously pushed in, took out Belarus, saved Lithuania, and then started invading Poland. Actually, if we go to the Polish right now, they're losing, as the Ukrainian method of pulling all their troops out has gone into work. Poland, with not expecting this many troops to start rolling in, would begin to fall. But they would start retreating into other countries. But eventually, Warsaw would probably be taken. I think it already was taken, and Poland would surrender, but not before moving into all these other nations. Oh my God. So yeah, Poland surrendered. What's next? All right. Eventually, Ukrainian troops would be moving into Czechia while also pushing through Romania and encircling people with Poland. All the red team troops that were over here, which were mostly Polish, would fall. And now the Ukrainians steamroll over. For Romania would begin. Now, Turkish troops would also be doing this. Now, think of it. Who really started the war, you might ask? Well, if we're talking about red team as the aggressor, then Greece did. But if we're talking about so basically, Greece started the war, let's say. So now that the defending team's winning, what's gonna happen after the peace treaty? Oh, I don't even want to think about it yet, you know? So, yeah, I've already been recording for 19 minutes. Oh yeah, I forgot to cover in Syria. Eventually, Romania would capitulate. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 countries, 7, 8, 9 countries down. Now, a lot of these countries are where where they're all meet up, which is over here, and 2 of them are over here. But also, some of these are just countries that they invaded for war purposes. But eventually, the Middle East would notice Turkey's aggression and would declare war. Yeah. The Middle East, not wanting their friend to kind of go die, would start noticing that it's time to invade back into Syria, and would do so. Turkey's aggression towards the Middle East because of Syria would honestly be a feat that they didn't even know that Turkey had. Now, obviously, Turkey would push back, pushing down the Middle East like it's a marshmallow, I guess, or like it's a mattress. No, it doesn't fit. Pushing it down like in a hydraulic press, crushing some item. Yes, that's what I'm gonna say. Eventually, though, Iraq would be honestly kind of surprised about how many troops that Turkey would had. These guys thought that Turkey would be very preoccupied with Europe and wouldn't be able to even invade. But because of the massive amount of Syrian, Georgian, Armenian populations that have been taken out of every single countries, and also Greek and Bulgarian populations, as soon as they got into that, they were obviously going to take population. Now, they had been doing this, and they had a reason to, honestly. They needed troops. Now, that's honestly a horrible reason, I know that, but it's not really surprising if you're talking about Turkey in general. I mean, Turkey has done really bad things to the Armenians in the past. Think about the Ottomans and stuff like that. Whatever. So, let's go back to this. Another pushback by the Middle East would begin in a stalemate. Turkey would notice that they were planning to do this. This was a coordinated attack by them in Europe somehow. Now, this is what they thought. France had gone around the Mediterranean Sea, had gone into it, had gone around Africa, and had gone into this area. So right. So yeah, let's just say France came over here, went through Saudi Arabia, went into all of these countries, and said that Turkey is a bad guy, kill him. That's not actually what happened at all. France was actually preoccupied with the countries that were getting invaded. These guys, but it was certainly someone else's fault. The Greek people that had fled to Tunisia. Yes, Tunisia. Over in Tunisia, they moved through Africa into Egypt, who then went into Israel and Palestine, moved into, moved into Jordan, told the Jordan officials what Turkey was doing with Syria, snuck into Syria, left into Egypt, sailed from Egypt to Lebanon, told Lebanon leaders, sailed back to Egypt, went into Jordan again, then moved into Iraq, went into Baghdad, told the officials there, and then after that they went to Kuwait, told them what was happening, and then pretty much just left. Went back through Jordan and Iraq, and they also then eventually found weapons in Crete and went into and starting to go towards Sicily. Now you might be wondering, how did they find weapons in Crete? Turkish weapons when they invaded Crete. The Greeks obviously fought back and got casualties before retreating up into the Greek mainland. So Turkish weapons were over here. They took those weapons. Ooh. Scary. Oh my god. Eventually, yeah. So that's what happened so far. So eventually, these Greek people were heading towards Sicily, and would start their invasion. Now, Italy had no idea of this. In fact, they weren't even planning on even helping with this, because Turkey had a lot of troops in this area of Greece. And Italy had a lot of troops over here, over here, over here, over here, and especially up here. So a sneak attack but they didn't really look for their southern boot. So these Greek people kind of just walked up, claimed this land as theirs. But then once the Italian troops noticed that people were there, they got into a fight. They had to move troops down, which let the French push. Then eventually, a lot of Greek people were killed in this. But eventually, Italy was completely cooked. They also landed in Albania again, started invading. The Turkish noticed this. So then the Serbians started pushing back. The Bulgarians started a revolution over here, took back Sofia, then moved into Romania, took back Bucharest, let the Romanian people go, and started re-invading into Bulgaria. This would also happen in Greece, with the Greece government, and eventually a new rebellion in Greece would happen. The Greek military would be any Greek military people that were stuck would be let out. Crete would be taken. More Turkish guns would be taken. Greek people would push up into Bulgaria again, back into North Macedonia and Albania, and a new front would be established. Back over here, Middle Eastern troops would be able to push back because of Turkey moving troops out in to Europe, because now they're being preoccupied by Europe because they're getting pushed back. Azerbaijani troops would be sent to the Middle East to fight these guys, and eventually another stalemate would happen. The Syrian government would come back, and honestly, this is looking more like a red victory, you might say. I'm kidding. That wouldn't happen. In fact, this is more a realistic scenario. No, obviously, you might be saying, well, isn't Russia joining a cheat code? Absolutely. That's why this is what's gonna end the video. I'm kidding. Well, maybe, because they joined because of the things that were happening in Belarus and Georgia. Now, obviously, you might be saying, why would Russia care about Georgia? Well, obviously, they only care about these guys and these guys. The atrocities that we're having in there, and Armenia. Also, in the Middle East. And what the hell is happening in Europe? Why is Ukraine dominating Europe, they say? We gotta stop them. So they would obviously start invading Belarus, which Belarus would honestly kind of be forced to join their side. Eventually, Russian troops would also be entering into Ukraine through this area, border thingy. They would, and also, Ukraine wouldn't really stand a chance. Kyiv would be taken because these Russian troops are fresh into battle. These guys know that these guys have been at war for so long, and they are going to take advantage of that. They would take Crimea. They would start invading into shit, stuff like that. And they would honestly just be on Ukraine. Eventually, a new front would be settled, but eventually something would happen in Russia. A no war. Russia would be like, huh? Aren't we saving them? The West would still don't want Russia into the war. Now, obviously, it's not like, also, Russian people in Kaliningrad would probably be taken out just because there's now honestly, at this point, Ukrainian troops learning about the Russian invasion are just trying to kill as many countries as they can. They take Prague, they kill Slovakia. I mean, eventually they even start rushing through Hungary, taking that out, and moving into Austria. They would be pushing from Hungary. They even push down into Serbia, take Belgrade, and honestly start making Serbia look like a pancake. They would take back Bucharest, making the Romanians surrender, and they would be sending all they have to Bulgaria, taking them out, but basically just being occupied by troops. They would be sending as many troops as they can to Belarus. But eventually the Russians, which are just way more powerful than they are right now, eventually they would run into Poland again to save them. Now Russian are obviously just doing this for more power, and the West knows this. So obviously they're just not going to give them anything. But eventually Russia says that they'll get something. So they leave the war. But Belarus is going to just take advantage of this and start putting into Poland, which they would kind of just easily do. Russia would pull everything out of Kaliningrad, but would still just keep all of their troops in Ukraine. Why not? Why wouldn't they do that? Eventually, though, Poland would be rescued, and eventually, and after Russian troops just rolling over Ukraine, that might be a sign for surrender. That the blue team should honestly probably surrender. I mean, obviously, French, a lot of troops are pushing back in the areas where Ukraine had just randomly pushed into, taking back Romania, even pushing back the Turkish troops that tried to reinforce the front. Now the Turkish leaders are knowing that they're going to lose. There's no point, there's no doubting it. The people of Turkey have come to an agreement that says that, decide to say, fine, let's make a peace deal. And that peace deal begins. I'll make the peace deal now. Honestly, I said I was going to make the peace deal, but not yet. I still think that it's time to continue the war. Because, yeah. Now, obviously, the Greeks would eventually push back, making it into Turkey with Bulgarian, French, and just every single troop in general. And honestly, I still think Turkey wouldn't even be surrendering. Even after homeland, they would just be confident that they would not be able to defeat the Greeks. But eventually, after they got past Istanbul, they would finally surrender, making a peace deal ensue. Alright, guys, so this is the peace treaty. All of these red countries are the countries that actually won. So let's go over the peace treaty. So obviously, you might notice that some of the countries that lost got land, and those countries are, what color should I make it? Come on, let's make it blue. These countries are, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Ukraine, and that's it. These three got land, and you might be wondering, well, Turkey also lost land. Turkey also lost land over here. So, I mean, yeah, you're right about that. They did. They lost land really big. You might be wondering why they did. Well, it's also because of the invasion of Turkey. When they invaded Turkey, Turkey had only surrendered because they were in Turkey. If they didn't get into Turkey, the war would still be going on. They also got the land that they acquired in the Middle East. In Azerbaijan, they also got land from Georgia and Armenia. Azerbaijan got basically all of Armenia and some parts of Georgia. Georgia still was alive. It's not like they're not, because Russia came down and helped. Ukraine gained land. They may even lose, and they, like Azerbaijan, they didn't lose land. They actually only gained land. They gained Moldova and parts of Poland. The reason why they gained parts of Poland is because they were in Poland. They had, by themselves, without Turkey's help, because they helped Turkey with Romania, and because they met up in Romania and Bulgaria a few times actually, and but Ukraine themselves, basically, they took out. I mean, you might be wondering why they don't have Belarus, and that's mainly because they kind of just went in empty-handed, went in there and said, you know what, they're ours. Then Russia came in and steamrolled Ukraine and Belarus. They kind of just came and steamrolled over basically everyone. So also, you might be wondering why I'm doing like different colors. I'm trying to see what colors is best for arrows. So far, black is, so we're just gonna keep using black. But once Russia came in, they steamrolled over Ukraine, took back Belarus, and basically made it that they would just be forced to leave the war. And then Ukraine kind of just ignored Belarus, just kind of ignored Russia's request, back invaded Belarus. But when Russia left, Ukraine had specifically said, even if Ukraine invaded back into Belarus once they left the war, they wouldn't annex it and still let Russia keep as basically like a buffer, and they were fine with that. Lithuania did invade Poland, did invade Kaliningrad. That was also during the invasion of Poland by Ukraine. Lithuania did not gain Kaliningrad, just because Russia. That was another deal of Russia's agreement that no country that fought with Belarus or Russia would gain land from either Belarus or Russia. So it's a little bit weird. But also Poland did lose some land, and other than that, Austria got really messed up. Oh my. We also have this like weird Yugoslavia back. Yeah. Greece actually got a lot of land as well. They got parts of North Macedonia, some parts of Albania, Turkish land. Bulgaria only got some parts of North Macedonia. Serbia got basically a lot of Yugoslavia. Montenegro. Oh, I forgot that Montenegro was a part of this war. But Montenegro got also parts of Albania. Oh yeah, Greece also got like a little part of Italy. That's kind of France got parts of Italy, and got Sardinia. So that's cool. Italy, you know, now that I think about it, I feel like they would be split again. I'm kidding. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But for now, we'll just say that they did. So they're split. They're split, and Sicily's their own country. Cause yeah. So yeah, Sicily's their own country now. Honestly, I feel like they would probably do more like that, yeah. Whatever. For now, we'll just leave Italy in one piece. Austria probably would have just fallen by themselves. Post-war, honestly, I don't think it would have been good. I don't think it would have been good for the blue team except these three countries right here. Yeah, I really don't think anything would happen between these guys. I really think the countries that would collapse, though, would be Austria, Albania, Syria, and Georgia, just because they suffered a lot. I mean, the people of Georgia were getting taken away by these guys, taken from their lands and being used for war purposes. I mean, that's what was happening in Syria too. They were just the people there were just being taken into Turkey, and then they would be sent to like this weird place, and then they would be sent to war. Basically, what was happening with basically the people from Georgia would go into the Turkish border. Then after that, they would go into this weird place. Then they would be sent to the war. Azerbaijan kind of sent them across the border, sent them to a military base, then just sent them to Turkey, where they would either go to Turkey's front line, this front line, or that front line. But Azerbaijani troops were kind of just going to Armenia and Georgia to keep the populations from revolting. I feel like there would probably be revolts in Azerbaijan from the Armenians and ethnic Georgians. I feel like that might have happened, but honestly, I just don't see that. I mean, I don't really see Georgians rebelling, but I do see like Armenians rebelling a lot. I feel like that would just be a scenario that's just bound to happen. Also, I don't know how long this video is gonna be, so we'll see. But other than that, yeah, that's the piece. That's what if parts of Europe and the Balkans went to war. This is a very unrealistic scenario. So I don't want anyone in the comments saying that this is unrealistic and that, I just don't care. I just, like, if I see any comments that just, like, completely say that, oh, Turkey getting steamrolled isn't likely, and Ukraine getting just Russia leaving the war with Ukraine isn't likely, and Ukraine steamrolling all of Eastern Europe isn't realistic. Like, I really just don't care, and I don't want any comments saying like, Serbia just randomly joining the war with Greece isn't likely, or that Turkey wouldn't commit all these war crimes, or Russia wouldn't join the war to help Georgia. Like, yeah, but anyways, yeah, we're gonna end the video here, so bye guys.